See if this works. We should now be live on the air. How's it going, Talos of Tech audience and Apple sheep everywhere? It's Tuesday. It's 10 a.m. as we usually are live on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. How's everyone doing today? It's the quiet before the storm, right? Oh, literally Siri is in the chat. Wow. Taco Boy, Adam, Tom Kepper, Donovan Diamond, Boom Flare, Minecraft 123, Jake Gardner, Robert, Vortex, Williter, Michael Apps. Welcome. How's everyone doing? Man, this is the last stream before, you know what, which is coming up. How's everyone doing? The Pixel 2 is run into a ton of manufacturing problems as well as software problems. MKBHD briefly talked about it in his review, which I've seen, by the way, and I've also seen Lou's iPhone 10 clone unboxing, so no need to ask about that. A lot of people got very confused because Lou from Unbox Therapy tweeted out a picture of iPhone 10 boxes, and so people started thinking that Apple sent iPhone 10s to Lou early, but nay, he had a clone. It was not the real thing, and it was primarily just a clickbaiting thing. Yeah, are our bank accounts ready to die? Exactly, yeah. I kind of like the Pixel 2. Am I going to Tech Hell? You're not. In fact, most people would agree with you. Most people like the Pixel 2. I feel like the outlier, who's the one guy who sees all its flaws. I'm personally kind of confused by all the display problems they're running into. And now apparently there's hissing problems and making weird sounds, just like the iPhone 7 was accused of, but I don't know of the severity of the Pixel 2's issues. But it sounds like there's some issues. Is the iPhone 10 worth it if I have an iPhone 7 and can afford an iPhone 10 comfortably? Okay, so you're saying if it's not about the money, I could also see the argument that some people might say get an iPhone 8 and an Apple Watch if you don't have that. Would the package of an iPhone 8 alongside an Apple Watch be a better package than just single-handedly an iPhone 10? I don't know. It's kind of up to you. It depends on your income. It depends on if you're interested in other things. Obviously, the upgrade from an iPhone 7 to a 10 is going to be very noticeable. You're going to be getting a lot of new features. It's going to be a very noticeable refresh. If the audio is not in sync, it's not his fault. There's no way to fix it on his end. The best you can do is refresh the video. Thank you. I apologize if video and audio is out of sync. Sadly, like Seven Durka Durka mentioned, it is not on me to fix. It's actually Google, YouTube not being able to sync things together because other people are saying it is in sync. Yeah, I decided to go with the red band today. It matches the red dot on the cellular watch just great. I use Hardik. I use the 200 gigabyte iCloud storage plan. I know people are upset that like iCloud doesn't have a ton of storage, but keep in mind iCloud is encrypted storage. Okay, so like Google Drive gives you X amount of file storage, and Google Photos is unlimited videos and pictures, but Google also has access to all of those pictures and videos. Apple does not go in and find all of your iCloud data and use it. How much do you profit from selling merchandise? Oh, thank you for your donation. Very little. I don't make a ton of money off of the merch. It's primarily, see, it's not printed by me and it's not shipped by me. It's all done by Spreadshirt. So I created the Spreadshirt account because I wanted you Apple Sheep fans to have like Tailosive swag and Apple Sheep merch stuff to buy. I didn't really go into it to make a big profit off of it. So Spreadshirt does all the work. Like I don't get free t-shirts. I have to literally buy them at the same price you guys do. I don't get a discount or anything. I think this month alone, I've made $3 from Tailosive merchandise sales. And that's not to say we haven't sold much. It's just I make very little. I make quarters per sale. So I don't get much of that money, but I made it for you guys. I didn't make it for me. Can we talk about the Pixel blue screen now? Well, I did understand that that is not a software problem that Mark has in his review brought up, that when you look at the viewing angles of a Pixel from the side that it's blue. But I kind of agreed with him on the fact that, well, I mean, most of the time you are using a phone head on. You know, you're usually holding the phone directly in front of you. So I didn't really see the blue screen thing being a problem. But I was fairly confused about the the color range issues. For those of you who don't know, the Pixel 2, for some reason, the software is limiting it to very exclusive color diversity. So it's basically, it means that the stock apps and the stock applications and stuff are not being used to their full potential for color for some reason. I don't know why. And they said that third-party apps are capable of enabling the rest of the color gamut, whatever it is, that most phones support. iPhones and Samsungs all have this very wide color gamut. And for whatever reason, the Pixel software limits it to this more basic color gamut, which some people have noticed and other people haven't. I disagreed with him on the idea where he said most people you hand the Pixel to are going to say, you know, it seems like a pretty good screen. They're not going to question it very much. And it's like, I think most people are going to complain about the bezels. I think that was the most obnoxious, like most noticeable thing when I saw the Pixel 2 is like, geez, like you tried to remove bezels, but they're still bigger than everyone else's. I mean, LG V30 made them thinner, Galaxy S8 made them thinner, iPhone 10 made them thinner. But yeah, I don't... Or the argument that both the Pixel 2 and Pixel 2 XL have the same features. They don't leave anything exclusive for the bigger one. Where very clearly the lower one has giant chin and forehead, enormous chin and forehead, and it doesn't have curved corners on the screen, whereas the 2XL does. So it's like, don't lie. Anyway, Apple fan says, do you think it is a big mistake to get the iPhone 8 Plus over the Note 8? And what do you think about these reviews that say that the 8 Plus, that say to not get the 8 Plus because it is boring? Do you think it is boring? That's a deep question. There's a lot of questions in there. I don't think it is a huge mistake to get the 8 Plus over the Note 8 because the Note 8 is a great phone. There's no denying that. It's definitely, to me, limiting because it's running Android. But which makes you exclusive to that ecosystem, and it definitely cuts off a lot of doors that I think the 8 Plus opens. I think the 8 Plus allows you to have more smooth interaction within an Apple ecosystem between AirDrop and AirPods and Apple Watch. I think that's all more possible. That's a lot more possible with the 8 Plus. But I can understand people wanting the Note 8 just for the display. Because it is a great display, and it's probably one of the better ones of this year because huge nits, huge brightness, huge color, just huge overall. It's a very large display, so I can understand people going that route, but no, I don't think it's a big mistake. I wouldn't recommend it over an iPhone 8 Plus. I would definitely say go for the Note 8. I mean, go for the iPhone 8 Plus, not the Note 8. But it wouldn't be a giant mistake. And then your second question, no, I don't think it's boring. I don't think that's the proper response. I think it's because of the iPhone 10 that people are calling the 8 Plus boring. It's kind of this phone that a lot of people really can't get excited for because they know that there's a much more exciting phone coming very, very soon. What they're not taking into account is, first of all, the price, and second of all, the limited availability. So while the 10 may be cooler, it's going to be a lot harder to get your hands on one unless you're up at 12:01 refreshing the Apple Store page. If you're not planning on doing that, then that means you're probably not going to get an iPhone 10 till December or January, which is like, yeah, it's a cool phone, but if you're going to wait that long, I mean, you can get these today. You can walk into any Apple Store right now, or most Apple Stores. I know some of them ran out for some reason. But you can walk into most Apple Stores, and they'll have one of these ready. You don't need to reserve them. You don't need to ship them. They're ready. They have tons of them. So I think that puts it a little bit higher above the 10 in some regard. And being cheaper, it allows you to spend money on what you could buy an iPhone 8 and AirPods for the same price as an iPhone 10, which would not give you AirPods. How old am I? I'm 19. Full body screen protector for space gray iPhone 10 or a skin. Also, I can't wait to be one of the 3 people that has this thing. So you're going to be one of the 3. Yeah, it sounds like they're going to... I think I'm going to be able to get it. I'm about 90% sure it's going to work out, and I'll be able to get it on launch day. If not, it's going to be delayed in some regard. But I'd still be getting one regardless. But in terms of full-body screen protector, I really don't like screen protectors just because of the texture and the look they give off on phones. But I understand people, it's a $1,000 phone. You want to protect it. And I think um, that's the phrase that's going to be tied to this iPhone, no matter who's buying it, no matter who's reviewing it. Everything you buy has to be followed. Every time you mention the iPhone 10, it has to be followed by, which is an $1,000 phone. If it's an $1,000 phone, you need to be able to protect it, or if it's $1,000, it should do blank. A lot of people like, can't wait to $1,000 and no headphone jack. You're gonna hear all these arguments. No touch ID. Everything is $1,000. It's $1,000. Everyone's gonna keep bringing that up. Where it's just like Apple literally issued a statement saying they are not trying to upsell anyone to the 10. The 10 is really it's really meant for the elite who can afford it, who really want that and need that. Apple had a difficult decision this year. They have one of the widest fan bases ever. And they had a lot of people who just wanted a basic upgrade like the 8, and they had a lot of people who wanted drastic changes. So they made drastic changes on the 10, and they made a classic phone like the 8, which isn't, looks-wise isn't terribly different than what we already had, but I think feature-wise it offers a lot more. So they were trying to make something for everyone. And of course, the Apple critiquers are going to make fun of both and say like, oh my God, why'd you remove the home button? Why'd you change all this? And then they look at the 8 and go, oh my God, why didn't you change anything? They get mad no matter what. You can't do anything. Why is iOS better than Android? I made an entire video about it. You can go watch it. You can go watch that. If you search it on my channel, or if you probably just search it on YouTube. I don't think MKBHD is a Google fanboy. I think he has a bit of a bias towards the Pixel team. But he's not the only one. There's clearly a lot of people who like the Pixel. But he said in our interview that I did with him that he still uses an iPhone. He has 2 phones in his pocket at all times. He has a phone in each pocket at all times. He's got some Android phone he's testing and usually one iPhone. And he said more recently that phone is the iPhone 8, and then whatever Android phone he's testing is in the other pocket. I didn't check in his last video, but in a couple videos ago, he was wearing an Apple Watch. Maybe he stopped wearing it. I didn't look. But he edits his videos in Final Cut. He uses a Mac, so he doesn't hate Apple. I just think there's a bit of he has quite an interest in things being smart. That's what he brought up about the Pixel, which I thought was interesting, and it's probably a more accurate way of approaching it, was saying that the Pixel is a very intelligent phone, and he's talking about the Google Assistant, and he's talking about how it doesn't need a dual camera to do portrait shots. It just uses AI, or it uses the background. If a song's playing in the background, it'll tell you what it is, even if in offline mode, which is interesting. I just don't think it's very useful, and I don't think you should be buying a phone because of that. I don't think those are features that are worth they're perks. I would call them more perks. I wouldn't call them, this is the reason I switched to the Pixel. Even if you hate Apple, that's fine. I understand most of you are out there. I'm just saying you can get AI and you can get that intelligence on other Android phones that have more features, that have better designs on them. I did not paint the switch. I just removed it and put tape over it. 4K 60 FPS is a reason. Well, it's a cool reason. It's not. I wouldn't say that that's the only reason I bought the iPhone 8 is because of 4K at 60. That's a big part of it. But you got to admit, Apple's usually not the first company to introduce something, and they were the first to put 4K at 60 on a smartphone. But how were they able to do it? It's because they're smart enough to design processor chips and to design their own video codecs that can allow that sort of thing to happen. I think it's a perfect example. The 4K at 60 feature is a perfect example of what happens when you take the hardware and the software and you make them optimized for each other. Now they can do things that ordinary devices can't, because the Pixel has a Snapdragon 835 and a camera designed by DxOMark and the Pixel team. They can't optimize their own file format or their own camera to support that, whereas Apple can, which I think is interesting. 7 Plus to iPhone 10 hype. Yes, Super Brianable, thank you. Dude, hey, didn't have any idea about 4K Androids can process it, so think before you talk. They can process it, I wasn't denying that. But if you've watched have you seen the speed test on Everything Apple Pro's channel between the iPhone 8 and the Pixel 2? What's interesting is that they're pretty neck and neck. You know, when they open apps and they open games, sometimes the pixel's faster. Oh God, I said pickle. Here come the Rick and Morty fans. Sometimes the Pixel opens faster. Sometimes the iPhone opens faster. But what really changed the game was when they got into exporting a 4K video. As soon as both phones were exporting a 4K video, iPhone 8 stole the show incredibly fast. It was like 3 times faster than the Pixel. And then it was about a minute, 2 minutes ahead of the Pixel 2 from the speed test there on out. So it's like that just goes to show you the example of an A11 chip versus a Snapdragon 835, which is not designed by Google. It's used by Google, but different companies' lack of optimization results in slower speeds. Can we talk about how people hate Apple now but use their whole ecosystem? Well, I mean, Apple hate's always been here. Even before smartphones, there was always Apple haters and Apple lovers. It's when you find something that people hate, that's the only way you can really find something that people love. If you're too middle ground, if you're too neutral, you're not going to get passion from either sides. But Apple makes people passionate because, you know, expensive prices but exclusivity, which obviously causes controversialness. But I also think that, geez, someone's like blaring their radio outside. I apologize if you can hear that. I find it kind of hypocritical and overall a little just disrespectful when I notice that people tend to use a lot of Apple products, you know, and they can use them and still hate them at the same time, and it becomes to this point where it's like they feel entitled to these products. Like it's Apple's job to innovate, and I'm going to be upset about it when it costs money. I'm like, I want Apple to change something. Like, I want Apple to make my phone and send it to me, and I don't want to pay for it. That's what it feels like a lot of the time. You know, like, how many iPhone parodies are there now a year? It's almost a routine now. When Apple introduces a new iPhone, and, you know, they're doing this to stay alive. First of all, they're a company. They sell products. But on top of that, they're trying to make a better experience for you. They're trying to make your pictures look better. They want to make your display look better. They're always trying to improve. They want to provide more options. This is the first year that we got 3 iPhones released simultaneously at the same time. They do that because they want you to have a diverse lineup to choose from. They're doing that for us. They're innovating for us. And I think people still, like, how many parodies do we see where it's like iPhone 10? You know, like I said, iPhone 10 was made for people who wanted drastic changes to their phone. They were sick of this traditional old design. They wanted something different than this. We've had this since the iPhone 6. They want to change. So they make the iPhone 10, and then everyone gets upset. They're like, oh my God, you removed Touch ID. Oh my God, how am I going to scroll? Oh my God, how does the home button work? This is a joke. And then next year, we're going to remove the screen. Oh my God. Every single year, we go through this. And then 2 to 3 years down the road, the people who are hating on them now are using it. So it's like this entitledness to it. I don't feel there's any sort of like thankfulness about it. There's not like, that's kind of what I'm trying to approach here is I'm trying to say, Apple, you've made great innovations. You've made great strides. Thank you. I very much appreciate that. Like, thank you for making my life easier. Thank you for making all of this tech that allows me to work. Like, I appreciate their thought throughness. I would pretty much be interested in anything they'd be willing to make because I know that the Apple format of making products is making them work, making them reliable, and making them seamless in your daily life. So I appreciate that. I don't want to get mad at them when they ask for money because obviously this kind of stuff takes time and it takes research and development, and I just feel like there's an overall entitledness because a lot of people are going to use their products and they're going to buy them, but they're going to hate using them and they're going to hate the company that made them. And it's like, well, these products clearly make your life easier. Just be a bit more thankful about it. Oh, yeah. There was a bunch of people, it was very, very split. I did a Twitter poll on this where I asked people for the iPhone 10 unboxing, of course, if the pre-orders go correctly, on November 3rd when we do the unboxings, would the fans prefer an edited video or would they prefer a live stream? And it was very split. It was 50-50. The edited video came out a little bit ahead at about 52%, with the live video being 48%. So I don't when the poll is that close, I don't want to make it a call because obviously I'd be ticking off a whole lot of the audience at once. Um, so what I've decided that I think I can do, Marius, exactly, is I think I can do both. It's going to be a little tricky. It's not going to be, excuse me, it's not going to be as high budget as this one with the microphone and everything, but I think there's a way I can do both where I'll set up both of my DSLR cameras, I'll set up my microphone, and then from my friend's smartphone, we'll do a mobile live stream. So audio quality and video quality won't be as good, but hey, video and audio will be in sync at least. So at least you people will be relaxed about it finally. But he'll be like the cameraman for the live stream. And keep in mind, while I'm recording the video, I probably won't be able to interact with the chat as much because I'm also going to be filming an actual video at the same time. So I'm going to be trying to interact with the camera and get the shots looking right for the second camera up here. But then secondarily, my friend will be just off camera, maybe even come in camera a little bit just for the people who want to watch it live. Oh my God, how many times do I have to say it? I do not make the audio and video in sync. YouTube breaks it. For some people it's in sync, for other people it is, so just refresh. I have psoriasis, that's why my fingers look weird. Ooh, mac and cheese sounds good. I know you're the Apple sheep, but I want to know, Google Home or Google Home Mini? I am deciding what to buy. HomePod, are you getting one? Ginger Apple sheep for life. My God, you guys are really making use of the character limit in your super chats. Man, I hate both. I really don't understand smart speakers. I don't see the point of the Google Home Mini. I don't like that it uses micro USB, and I don't like that they had to legally deactivate the record everything feature. I thought that was creepy and scary. If I had a gun to my head, Google Home, probably, just because it sounds better. And yeah, I'm getting a HomePod. I am getting a HomePod. Yeah, if the video and audio is out of sync, guys, it's on YouTube's end. It's not on my end. I apologize that we're on such a crappy site. Is it fair to do speed tests with still not fully optimized iOS 11 on iPhone 8? Yeah, it's fair. I mean, it's officially out. It's not in beta anymore. I mean, everything Apple Pro may have been... Eve probably was on some form of iOS 11 beta. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But yeah, I think when it's out, it's all fair game to do speed tests on it. Yeah. But it used to be in sync for me just fine. Like I said, it's not on my end. It's YouTube breaking it. They can't keep a consistent live stream from their servers, and it breaks it all for you because some people it's in sync, some people it's not. Again, I can't do anything about it. Man, I feel like I've been saying that for like 6 months now. In sync. What's the best way to get iPhone 10? There's really not like a for sure like definite way of how to do it. There's just all we can really recommend is be speedy. I'm going to be live streaming my pre-order because it's a Thursday night anyway, so we're usually live streaming on Thursday nights to begin with. Android user all my life, but I think it's time to switch because the iPhone 10 is up to my standard smartphone. Sweet, come to the dark side. We have Cookie. 12th Super Set, you should make a Patreon perk where users can ask infinite questions. I'd buy it. You can, for those who don't know, the people on Patreon can ask questions. I'll usually read them. Sometimes I'm busy and I can't respond to everything, but if you post a question on the Patreon page, I'll usually see it because it's a much smaller community of people who are on the Patreon, so it's more likelihood I will see it. But yeah, that is definitely a perk of being on Patreon, is you can post to the page. Do some rant videos. I'm afraid of being demonetized. That's what I'm concerned about. Is Google gets really mad when I get mad. So the more I talk about this will probably be demonetized after it's live. Yesterday's video was not demonetized, but the one before it was. I can't breathe. You say Apple improved things, but Apple who But people who compared wireless charging on the Note 8 showed that it charges in half the time, a bigger battery in half the time wirelessly. Stop avoiding. I'm not trying to avoid you. Keep in mind there's 300 people watching, so it's hard for me to respond. But the reason the Note 8 charges faster is that it's equipped with fast charging. The iPhone 8 and 10 are as well, but they don't have it activated yet. Again, I don't know why. I don't understand why they delay certain hardware features in phones. But currently, Apple has said that the iPhone 8 and 10 support fast wireless charging, but it's not activated yet. And via software update later in the year, both the 8 and 10 will support fast charging, both with Qi wireless chargers. Currently, the Galaxy phones already have fast wireless charging. That's why the Note 8 charges faster. I'm not avoiding that. I know what the situation is. Apple has the ability to fix it. I don't understand it. Yeah, Samsung does this too. I don't understand it. The Galaxy Note 8, when it came out, could not record 4K at 60. But they've said down the line that it will do 4K at 60 at some point. Again, why don't they activate it now? I have no idea. If the hardware's there, maybe it's the how do you say it? Maybe it's the H.265 format. They're going to use the same hack that Apple used on the iPhone 8, and they don't have it optimized on the Galaxy phones yet. That could be it. Latest iPhone 10 video, check 9 to 5 Mac. I've seen a lot of iPhone 10 videos. I saw the one this morning. This girl, this vlogger on YouTube. She has a father who works at Apple within like the actual headquarters, and he had an iPhone 10 early. So she filmed it and she showed herself using it, and that's been all over the news this morning. I don't know if that's the latest, but it's definitely the latest for me. The rumor come out there will be limited supply for iPhone 10 for walk-in customers. I saw that as well. I definitely don't think anyone should assume. Oh, she removed it, really? I bet she had to. Yeah, geez. Yeah, I've been reading the reports saying that there will be a limited number of iPhone 10s available for walk-in customers at Apple stores, but definitely don't anticipate that you're going to get one in that regard. Don't be like, oh, I don't need to pre-order one. I'll just show up early. Guys, it's going to be packed. It's going to be crazy, and I kind of wish they wouldn't have done that, because now it means that there's going to be 100 people waiting outside thinking that if they're just early enough, they will get one, and it's not necessarily true. Anyway. So what about the HomePod makes it a definite buy when you don't like/understand the love of smart speakers? Well, it's because the HomePod's primary focus was not the smart speaker element. The primary focus that a lot of reporters claimed when they tried the HomePod or experienced the HomePod at WWDC, as well as just Apple's advertising method, is that the HomePod's primary focus was sound quality. It was not about the smart element, which I'm fine with. I don't really have a dedicated speaker or anything, especially made by Apple, in my office or at home. And I'm not really interested in the Google Home or Amazon Echo because those are pretty focused around the smart feature, and I don't really need that. The fact that Apple is designing the HomePod as the Apple sheep definitely attracts me because it means that they're focusing this thing on sound quality, and the people who have experienced it have said that the amount of sound you get out of it for the size of the device is amazing, and people were blown away by it. So I would like to experience that myself. I'm not buying the HomePod because I want to talk to Siri. I have Siri on my watch, and my phone doesn't have to be on me for Siri to work. Like I don't need more smart assistants in my office or whatever. I just want the experience of a well-designed speaker by Apple. Anyway, BornRad says, already got a pre-approval for my loan via iPhone upgrade program with next year. And the massive display might be hard to keep the 10 for a year. With next year and the massive display. Yeah, I've heard people on the iPhone upgrade program can get pre-approval. I don't want people to misunderstand this. Pre-approval does not mean pre-order. That's a separate thing. So what BornRad here is saying is that as the upgrade program, it means he is eligible for the iPhone 10 as an upgrade. At 1201, you still definitely have to reserve it. It's not like it's automatically yours. You have to pre-order it as well. But just keep that in mind, people. Like if you sign up for the iPhone upgrade program, you don't automatically get an iPhone 10 instantly. So a lot of people were confused by that because there was a lot of articles saying that you could get pre-approval for your iPhone upgrade if you were in the iPhone upgrade program. That is partially true. You know, you've got your foot in the door, and I think you might have less steps at 1201 than the people paying for it outright. But a lot of people thought that if they just signed up for the iPhone upgrade program, then they instantly had it. That's not true. Still be ready at 1201. Okay, and Slack says, thoughts on an iPhone SE2 with iPhone 10 specs and design, just the smaller form factor. I like the screen to body at that size. Yeah, again, the primary focus of the iPhone SE wasn't necessarily the smaller form factor. They said that most people were buying it because it was cheap. And if you were to put all of those iPhone 10 features into a SE2, it suddenly wouldn't be very cheap anymore. And I think kind of the whole purpose of the iPhone 10 was to take the form factor of the smaller iPhone 7 or iPhone 8 and combine it with the features of the Plus. That way you'd have a one-size kind of fits-all deal. And I think making more, especially right now, making more sizes for the iPhone 10's design element with Face ID and the edge-to-edge display isn't really doable because they're not going to meet demand for the iPhone 10 in 2017. They said they're only going to sell like 20 million of them in 2017, and the rest will be sold in 2018. They're still figuring out how to make these things efficiently and how to bring the cost down for next year. So, again, SE2 would be cool. I would love to see that. If they can make it happen, it's definitely amazing. But I'm just saying, probably not going to happen. I don't see that realistically taking place because the SE's primary focus was being affordable. I know that the keynote was all about it being the 4-inch iPhone. A lot of people prefer that. But the primary reason most people bought it, apparently, from user studies, was that it was affordable. And if you put the iPhone 10 specs into it, it would no longer be affordable. Now the SE2 would be like $800, $700, which at that point it's like, well, you're in the same ballpark anyway as the 7 or 8. It'd be cool. Oh my God. When there's people saying audio and video are out of sync, can other people in the chat explain to them, please? Okay, one last question. You talked about the Pixel display, but the iPhone 10 has the worst display among flagships, at least on paper. Also, thank you for replying. I don't think it has the worst display on flagships, because it's not necessarily in terms of on paper. Displays are how they look. And I thought what the iPhone 10 did was the most original approach, and I applauded Apple for thinking different. They didn't do what every single company did this year, which would have frustrated me if they did that. If it's just like slightly thicker forehead and chin with very thin side bezels. That's what LG did. That's what LG did twice. That's what Samsung did. And now that's what the Pixel did. That's what the Essential phone did. Like, everyone's done it. Is for certain people they are perfectly in sync, and for others it's not. Like I said a billion times, you guys don't have to explain that it's fine for you. Just explain that it's YouTube's fault. YouTube makes things out of sync on every live streamer. I apologize. If you would just put the A11 in the SE, it would be affordable as well. So did the 2016. I don't think it's that simple. I don't think you can just lift chips out and put them in. But again, I asking for iPhone SE refreshes is kind of like asking for Mac Mini refreshes. You know, like, that'd be great. We'd love to see those refreshes, but the demand for that particular product is so low. Not very many people are buying them. It's kind of hard for Apple to invest in things that don't pay off for them. Oh, why not use Twitch? I actually have set up a Twitch account, and I've actually started uploading a bit of my videos there because YouTube seems so unstable now, and YouTube seems so all over the place. But in order to monetize your videos on Twitch, you have to get approved by their Twitch partnership program, which I, at this time, do not have approval for. I've sent a request, and they haven't gotten back to me yet, but they say it takes a while. But yeah, I'm starting to upload my videos over there, not before they're on YouTube. All my videos come out on YouTube first. So don't think that if you go on Twitch and start watching all of those videos, you'll suddenly make me more money, because they're not getting ads right now, so I don't make anything. But I included a note, and I linked my YouTube account, and I linked my Twitter account, and said, hey, I want Twitch to take over to compete with YouTube. YouTube's got their stuff all over the place. Twitch is primarily just for gaming, but Amazon is reportedly, there's some rumors spreading that because of all the problems YouTube's having, Twitch is debating expanding on their uploads feature. For those of you who don't know, in beta mode right now, you can just upload regular videos to Twitch just like you would YouTube. Amazon owns Twitch, and they're debating going to war with Google over self-created, creator-led platforms because YouTube has so many problems. They're debating making Twitch kind of a YouTube competitor, and I would love to see that happen. So I endorse that, so that's why I kind of want to post stuff on there. I want to upload to Twitch, and I want Twitch to hopefully approve me. If they don't approve me, then it's kind of pointless. Then I would be making no money on Twitch. But yeah, YouTube definitely needs competition, and I can't think of any other company that would be close to competing with YouTube. With Amazon's resources, Amazon can have a lot of free server space for creators. Amazon is in contact with a lot of big advertising developers. Amazon just has a ton of names. What's your Twitch username? Take a wild guess. Take a wild guess. Talos of Tech. What specifications of the iMac Pro do you want to get? Amount of RAM, SSD, etc. The cheapest possible one. We're getting the bottom of the line, cheapest possible iMac Pro because it's already $5,000 at the cheapest. So, my God, I'm not going to go over the top. Watching Drew, you don't want to upset Google. They've got ears anywhere. They've got bots everywhere. There's not someone from YouTube watching this, hovering their finger over the demonetization button. There's just a robot that picks up random things. Compared to food, but better than all the other channels. Do you think there should have been an iPhone 9? I guess it's an evil number. Windows doesn't want 9. iPhone doesn't want 9. I would have preferred 7S and Edition. That would have made more sense to me, to have like a special edition elite iPhone that kind of branches off from the main one. And then next year we could get the iPhone 8, followed by 8S, and then 9 and 9S and 10. That's what I would have done. But Vimeo is a lot more complicated because you have to pay for it. And I don't want to make all of my users suddenly have to... I want YouTube to succeed. I want people to fix YouTube. I don't want everyone to just ditch YouTube. But in order to upload in greater quantities on Vimeo, you have to pay for it. But and that's more of a professional platform. It's not really just for anyone. I don't think they have the capabilities to compete with YouTube. Whereas I think Twitch already has quite a large audience, and it's already owned by a very large company. I think they have a better chance. Bone Rat says, what do you think about the Sabre Power Pack? I have never tried it. I'm sorry. I don't have one, so I don't have any opinions on it. I apologize. If I want to buy a MacBook Pro, should I get one now or wait till next year? Wait one now. Well, we just got a refresh in WWDC, so now's probably still an okay time. Yeah, I think you're still good to buy a MacBook Pro right now. I'm still loving mine, and I bought it. We're coming up on a year. I bought it in December. So we're 10 months in, 11 months in. Yeah. Could we please have a video defending Apple and the Animoji trademark? Please respond. Well, I mean, they probably didn't even know that company existed. And that company's probably just, if you sue Apple, you're going to get something because it's the richest company in the world. So that's why they claimed they stole their trademark. I bet it was more just arrogance on Apple's side. They called it Animoji, but they probably didn't realize that Animoji was a thing already. But who even knew about it? Who even knew about that one app that no one was really using? So that company was like, if we sue Apple for this, we'll probably get some money out of it. That's all they're thinking. They did know they existed, then why would they? I mean, if they knew they existed, they would probably just try to contact the company and ask for them. Oh, they tried to buy the term. Well, again, it's just... They're not going to go changing the name after they just did this giant announcement and everything. Everyone, when you say Animoji, you think of the iPhone 10. You don't think of that rinky-dink company. So they probably realized that, okay, well, we can just take the name, they can sue us, and we'll just pay them what they're asking. And... they're right. They'll be fine. Don't worry about them. I'm so sick of people complaining about the notch, the space on the left and right fold into it, and it looks fine. It's actually pretty smart. I don't think it'll be a big problem. I don't think it's preferable. Obviously, if Apple had a way to remove the notch, I think they would do it. But I like it for being original. I prefer it to just having a thicker forehead, which is what a lot of smartphones did this year. I like that they have one bezel size all the way around. I thought that looks good. But yeah, it's a necessary evil. I was gonna say it's efficient. The notch is efficient. It means that every part of the front of the iPhone is taken advantage of. Where there's a display possible, a display will be there. When there's a notch, it's because specific sensors needed to be there. That's why they're there. What would make the S8 worth it? I think the S8 worth it. I think the S8 is worth it in a lot of ways. It's not a bad phone at all, but definitely what I'd like to see upgraded in the S9 is a dual camera like they added on the Note 8, and I'm fairly certain the S9 will have one. But also stereo speakers would be cool. You know, they've got a slightly larger chin at the bottom that's not being used for anything. Put a stereo speaker there. Function over form. Well, yeah, that's what I would say. I think curved displays, and I think having those curved displays on the S8 and Note 8 while also having a chin and forehead is more aesthetically pleasing than functional. I think the iPhone X is more functional because it makes best use of the front of the device. What's the majority of opinion on the iOS 7 to 11 icons? Please answer me. I don't know the majority opinion. I don't do research on those kinds of things. But given that over 50% of iOS users are already on iOS 11, it shows that most people are okay with the update, or most people are fairly comfortable with updating. Obviously, there was a lot of bumpy releases with iOS 11, and iOS's in the past have had bugs and stuff. So it's not uncommon that there's bugs, but the fact that adoption rate for whatever the latest operating system is very, very high. In fact, higher than anyone else, really in the industry, then I think that goes to show that people are comfortable and welcoming to iOS updates. Weekly question keeps getting ignored. Thoughts about jailbreaking? Well, once again, I think my answer keeps getting ignored. Many times I have said that jailbreaking is kind of dead. It's very difficult now, and it gets harder as time goes on. The creator of Jailbreak thinks that it's pointless now. And again, I think the great thing about iOS is just the seamlessness of how it works with everyone else's, and the simplicity of it, whereas Jailbreak kind of complicates the entire operating system. Anyway, what day do you live stream around 12 a.m.? Well, okay. It's been this way for the past 2 months, you guys, okay? For the past 2 months, with a couple exceptions because of technical problems. For the past 2 months, I've always live streamed at 10 a.m. on Tuesdays and 11:30 p.m. on Thursdays. That's Pacific time. If you didn't know, it's at the same time zone Apple has their keynotes in. I'm only 2 hours from Apple, so you can base me in Pacific time for that. The reason I do that is because I like to live stream for everyone in the world, and I do a later stream so that people in different parts of the world that are asleep right now or unavailable can view and have live interaction for their part of the world. That's why I do that. Thank you, Bobby, for your donation. Okay, Drew, if you don't give me all of your money, I will unsubscribe. Okay, bye-bye. I guess we're losing a subscriber. You're going to wait for jailbreak. I'm on iOS 10.3.1. That's the other thing. Is like if you want jailbreak to work, you have to delay your actual updating. And I've never seen a jailbreak tweak that's been worth not updating to the latest iOS. I'd much rather have a beta developer version of iOS 11 than a jailbreak. Jailbreak's just kind of nice little tweaks and stuff. It's like people who want Android on iOS and want all that customization. That's what jailbreak's for. Are you in the North or South Bay then? I'm on the North Bay. Wouldn't mind doing a fan meetup if you offered. I'm in Northern California. I'm in Butte County, so I'm pretty far away from the Bay Area. A few hours from the Bay Area. The iPhone X cuts out content. Samsung does not. That is function over form. Not cutting out content for better look. Also, not having side bezels and curves is more functional. Well, if not having side bezels, why is it more functional? For the actual display to be distorted on the sides, I would say that cuts into content. As well as I'm just saying, like, the bottom of the S8 is just black bezel. I would consider that wasted space. It's part of the device that has no button on it, has no display on it. It's not functional. Whereas the 10 doesn't do that. The display goes all the way to the bottom. Whereas I wouldn't look as the notch cutting into things. I would look at it as the display expanding. Whereas the S8 and Note 8 would have just black parts on the top. The iPhone makes use of it by expanding the display there. Apple fan, thank you, says, should I get MacBook Pro 13-inch Touch Bar or Surface Book 2? Have you ever jailbreaked? What was your first smartphone? I've not jailbreaked myself, but I've played with phones that have jailbreak, and I know how to jailbreak. Just watching the process of how to do a jailbreak made me not want to do it. And a lot of my friends back in high school were jailbreak guys, and I hated it. I hated that idea of tinkering and plugging it into the computer or downloading the certain profile or not updating to a certain operating system just so that you can tinker with the OS. It's just annoying. It's just too much complications, and I like how simple iOS is. I trust it from Apple, and jailbreaking, I think, just complicates everything. Even the creator, like I said, the creator of Jailbreak thinks it's pointless now. The guy who made Jailbreak doesn't see the point of it anymore. And obviously, I mean, the MacBook Pro 13-inch with Touch Bar, isn't that cheaper than a Surface Book 2? I can't remember. I don't have the prices on top of my head. But obviously, the Surface Book 2 is a more recent product. But it's more of a discussion between macOS and Windows 10, which I'm never going to endorse Windows 10. It's good at running games, but that's not because of Microsoft. That's just because all the game developers are already pre-existent on the Windows platform. I don't like Windows 10. I use it still on a daily basis on the gaming PC in the gaming room. I don't like it. I don't like all the updates it goes through. I don't like all the inconsistencies with the internet speeds. It makes me think they're spyware. I also just don't like that they think that if you don't have a touchscreen, you should still have an operating system that's designed for a touchscreen. Windows 10 is a jack of all trades and a master of none. It's supposed to be on phones and tablets and desktops, but it's really not great at doing either. I think macOS just focused on being a desktop OS. That's what I like about them. They're not trying to be a touchscreen. They're not trying to be an iPad. They let tablets do that. They don't try to make your Mac into a tablet interface. macOS is just focused on being a desktop operating system, whereas Windows 10 is trying to be all these different things, and it gets annoying to me. It does all of the updates in the background. I don't really know what you mean. Windows 10 is a very inconsistent experience. I'm very happy for you if you can get it to work. If you can get Windows 10 to work for you and the updates happen in the background, congratulations. But I'm just saying, I've had devices running Windows 10 that have not worked, and I've had them act slow, and I've had the software updates get annoying. I've literally turned it off for 5 minutes and then booted it up again, and I have to wait because it's installing apps, it's getting updates ready. That's annoying to me. That's my experience. I'm not going to tell you about things I have not experienced, just like Marquez mentioned in his last review. In my experience, when I have a Mac, the operating system's updates it gets over the years, first of all, they don't forcefully install. I'm partially concerned that people running Windows 10 may one day be forcefully installed Windows 10 S, which doesn't let you run apps like Steam or third-party applications that aren't verified on the Windows Store. You act like that's crazy, but the thing is, a lot of Microsoft computers were, like Windows 7 or Windows 8 running computers, installed Windows 10 without user consent. I know a lot of people who had that happen to them. It didn't happen to everyone, but some people, they kept getting that update to Windows 10 thing, that one day they just woke up and it automatically updated without asking. So imagine if they did that with Windows 10s, because they would say, you need to go through the Windows Store. That's faster. This Windows 10s will make your computer run faster because all of the apps are from verified developers. Therefore, it means that the programs will open faster, and it means that your computer will turn on faster. And that would therefore force all developers to make their apps go through the Windows Store, which in return makes the Windows Store more popular. That's in Microsoft's best interest. So for all of the people who love Windows 10, I hope it works for you. I'm happy if it does. I'm just saying I would be very concerned because Microsoft has shown in the past that they're okay with forcefully putting software on computers. And if they forcefully put Windows 10s on all of your Windows 10 devices, suddenly a lot of your applications and a lot of your games would not work anymore, which they did already with the Windows 10 upgrade. I liked Windows 7. I had Windows 7 on the gaming PC in there before we updated it, and it was fine. It was focused on being a desktop. Apps would open. That was nice. On Windows 10, I would literally like click a Adobe program and it wouldn't open. Or I would click Microsoft Edge and it wouldn't open. Also, the built-in security, what do you call it, firewall, won't let us install Google Chrome. Every time we download Google Chrome, it will erase it and say it was a virus. And again, not everyone's dealing with that. Some people don't have that problem and other people do. So it's just a very inconsistent, unreliable experience. And because it's kind of hit and miss, as I've experienced with Windows, I'm not going to recommend it. Microsoft automatically installs third-party apps on computers without consent, like small games and stuff. Yeah, I don't like that either. What I love about macOS is it's very quiet about its updates. If there's updates ready, a little notification shows up. It says, would you like to update? And you can hit later or you can dismiss it. It will not forcefully update. Unless you turn on automatic updates, of course. What size is your iPhone 8 Plus? I had to get a 64 gig since Verizon didn't have any 256. This is a 64 because I knew I wouldn't be using it for very long, but I haven't filled it up. I've recorded a lot of video and I've taken a lot of pictures with it, but I haven't filled up the 64 gigs yet. I think the 10 I'll be getting will be 256. Yeah, Windows 10 does force you to use their apps. There's very little user control in the Windows platform. That's why I'm not a fan of it. I would recommend, yeah, should your switch from Windows 10 to Mac. Yeah, I would recommend it because I personally am very concerned for the Windows 10 user base because I feel like if they're not careful, they might wake up and Windows 10s will be installed on all of their computers one day. There were a lot of people I knew, I'm not making this up, there were people I knew who had Windows 7 on their devices, on their computers, on their PCs. Then one day they woke up, turned on their computer, and Windows 10 was already installed. They were like, oh, I didn't want this, but okay, here's Windows 10. None of the third-party apps they used to use on Windows 7 were supported on 10. And then they couldn't use their apps anymore. That happened to a lot of users, and I think that's kind of messed up. I don't think that's cool. I was auto-updated to Windows 10 when I wanted to shut down. Exactly. I'm not okay with that, and I don't support that. I think that's kind of messed up. Just to tell users, no, this is better for you now. And for those of you who didn't realize, the reason Windows 10 is free is because they data mine. They sell the user data they collect from the desktop operating system. And I'm fairly certain they do because we have pretty good Wi-Fi here. The Wi-Fi connection's pretty good. We don't have like massive down throttles on our Macs. The Macs in this office work fine. But when we're using the Windows 10 computer, all of a sudden it'll be running fine. And then all of a sudden internet speeds will drop drastically for about an hour. Like upload and download will suddenly drop and become unusable. And then it'll go back up. But only when we're using the Windows 10 machine. And I'm like, it's either auto-updating in the background or it's updating its user data. Because Microsoft sells user data just like Google does. Which they use for their machine learning and they use for their AI development. They have access to all of that stuff. Whereas Apple is more about encryption. Apple's more about privacy, saving user data. That's why I would recommend it. Thank you for your donation. Jamie Andrea Hugo de Juan? I don't know. What makes Apple special for you personally? I think the big word for Apple with me is exclusivity. Is that there's too many things Apple provides that cannot be matched by the competition. Things like, I know I talk about it a lot, but I love AirDrop, just how easy that is to share files between my iPad, my phone, and my MacBook. I love the easiness of iMessage, and that iMessage is on my Mac. I can SMS text people from my watch without my phone. I can SMS text people from my iPad. What I think the competition has to offer, the competition is always competing in a one-on-one fight. You know, the Note 8 is better than the iPhone, or the Surface Pro is better than the iPad. It's not one company competing with Apple in every industry, whereas Apple has a major player in every industry. And I don't think this ecosystem between watch, phone, iPad, Apple TV, MacBook, iMac can all be matched by a competitor, because no one designs hardware and software inside and out as much as they do. That's what is personally takes it out for me. Chookin isn't a word. Stay in school. I apologize. I'm a dropout. Don't expect good grammar from me. Windows sucks. Yeah, I don't like them. Your opinion on iOS 11 battery life problems on iPhone 7 Plus? Thinking to buy one since 8 has glass back, and I will 400% shatter that. I haven't experienced battery problems, but I hope they fix that. That's my opinion on it. It sucks. I'm sorry if you have battery problems, but I haven't had problems. Even on the 7 Plus, I didn't have problems. So I apologize, but I hope they fix it. Apple fan says, what do you think of Samsung DeX? I personally have never seen anyone use it or heard of anyone using it. I've never heard of a YouTuber saying, like, I use this a lot. I've seen it in reviews where they say, you can hook up Samsung DeX to your device and then use it like a desktop. I think that's totally a gimmick, and I don't think it's terribly useful. It's kind of cool. I'm not going to say it's really stupid, but it's definitely not a reason to buy a phone. And I haven't really... I guess I could have done it with the S8. Well, you have to buy an extra accessory, don't you? Yeah, I wouldn't see myself using it. I have a desktop. I have a laptop. I don't see the point in hooking my phone up to become one. Microsoft loves money. If you have some money, Microsoft will gladly take it. Yeah, I mean, they're a business. They have to make money. It makes sense. I just personally don't like the lack of the user control. It's showing that Microsoft is more focused on the profit and less about catering to their own fan base, which is understandable. You know, sometimes you have to, as a company, if you want to stay alive, you have to focus more on profit. But I just feel like Apple, while it does tick off a lot of its fan base, it does cater to a large number of it. Like, I don't know a huge ton of Microsoft fanboys, people who will just buy everything that's Microsoft because they love Microsoft and Microsoft's the best. But I know a lot of Apple fanboys. There's no Microsoft sheep channels. Why is Windows Store so bad? I mean, it's not. It's just kind of barren. And I don't think forcing creators to go on the Windows Store is the best way to go about it. Not to say that the Mac App Store is really much better. It's not very diverse, but Apple doesn't... There's no version of Mac OS that forces users to only download things from the Mac App Store. They don't do that. Whereas Microsoft is starting to encourage that. And I'm worried about the future of Windows 10 users, because it seems like at some point they might start making you... No, I can't afford to do giveaways. My channel's too small. I don't have that kind of money. There's nothing necessarily wrong with the Windows Store. It's just kind of empty, and I don't like that their strategy is like, well, we need more people in the Windows Store. Start forcing them to. Like, that seems a little disrespectful and unfair. Why doesn't iOS have a file manager like Android? It's probably because there's not really much of a point to one. I mean, it has the Files app, but that's not really a file manager. And I personally don't find myself using it that much. Is because to access your files, you just go to those apps. It's not a desktop. iOS does not have a mouse and keyboard. File Explorers were really, really useful for people who had a mouse and keyboard, because you could select individual files, drag them around. You don't really do that on a touch interface. You just kind of share and drop in split screen. I think if they did make one, it wouldn't be very useful. If they did add one, people wouldn't really use it. The iPhone 10 screen is bigger than the Plus, yes, but it's a smaller phone, and keep in mind that part of the display is used for interaction. You know, you're swiping up on it. There's no home button anymore. So it's a smaller phone than a Plus, but yeah, it is the largest screen ever on an iPhone. Windows 10s. Yes, Windows 10s sucks. Apple needs to be more open source. I'd say Apple's the thing that has made Apple successful is the fact that they're not terribly open source, because when you are super open source, you end up with things like the Play Store that are kind of filled with a lot of crap and a lot of apps that people don't want to use. I mean, way more people, like, Play Store is on way more devices, but if you look at the market of what app store makes the most money, way more users spend money on the iOS app store compared to the Play Store. And there's a reason for that. It's because people actually use the app store. There's actually quality apps there. The Play Store has that, but it's definitely not to that caliber. And I think to tell Apple they don't know what they're doing is kind of ridiculous, because they're they're the highest valued company that there is, and their stocks are still some of the highest they've ever had, and they're selling like crazy, and people want their products, and they have some of the highest customer satisfaction of all time. So it's kind of silly for us to tell them what to do. We can recommend things, but yeah, there's a ton of garbage in the Play Store. If I knew maths, you would know that. Okay. I guess I don't know maths. If I ever make a phone company, what do you think I should put in it? Geez, I have a lot of respect for people who try to stand up to the big tech giants right now. What should you put in it? Exclusives. Just got to keep that in mind. If you want to actually make a smartphone that can compete with everyday flagships, it has to do certain things that other people are going to find interesting and cool that the other guys don't have. It can't just be pretty good, because sadly what we've discovered with like the Essential phone, and I kind of really have not the headphone jack. I have a lot of respect for Andy Rubin. You know, he created Android, but I feel like Google is kind of like this just big robotic octopus that their tentacles just get sucked into everything and they take over it and they infect it. Google just kind of takes over Android and fills it with its bloat and with our services, our Google search, our Google Assistant, use all of our stuff. Whereas what Andy Rubin was going for with the Essential phone was really making a quality product that wasn't focused on branding, wasn't focused on skins or anything. It was just trying to make a good phone. Pretty decent phone. Like, Essential phone had some problems, definitely kind of slow, lack of optimization between software and hardware, but just tanked. No one bought it. It's just horrible, and they've reduced the price $200 because they're not selling at all. And I think that's just a prime example that you can't be pretty good if you expect to compete with the flagships. If you want people to break apart from their traditional Galaxy phone or iPhone, you need something that's really convincing to get them to switch. And that's why making a startup company for smartphones is so difficult, is because it's hard to do that when you're a startup. So the only options besides Google and Windows is Apple. Pretty much. I mean, that's Android and Windows. What else is there? Lumia? No, that's Windows. Samsung is using Windows and Android services, so don't pull that one. The iPhone 10 has a smaller display area than the iPhone 8 Plus. Well, I mean, it's a different aspect ratio, so yeah. And again, like, Apple sells both. If you want a 16:9 display, congratulations. They're available in store right now. You can just go and pick them up. If you want something with a more edge-to-edge display, get a 10. I would argue that Note 8 has less display area because it has dedicated buttons on the bottom that don't go away, whereas the 10 has just a row of apps. How can you remove the carrier logo in iOS 11? I thought they were required to be there, but on the 10 it doesn't seem like they have to. Windows Phone was killed. Microsoft stopped making it and the phones. Yep. Didn't work out. You say the iPhone is your more significant Apple device, but would you rather give up all of your other Apple products and not use an iPhone, or vice versa? But would you rather give up all of your other Apple devices? Wait, I don't understand. Rather give up all of your Apple products and not use an iPhone. That means just not using Apple products. I don't understand. I'm sorry. Do you ever feel sorry for being an ice sheep? Tell me honestly. Absolutely not. There's never been a day where I feel bad that I have Apple to defend, because I think it's very easy to defend Apple. I think they've got the highest customer satisfaction and the highest valued company for a reason. You don't become the most valuable company for no reason. You get there because you've done something correctly. And every day, every time I read something about the Pixel team, I am so grateful that I don't have to defend that. I find it incredibly lacking of substance when like someone like Marquez has to defend the Pixel 2 is a worthy upgrade. Why? Because it's got a squeeze to activate the Google Assistant. That's what you have to be excited for? Oh, I mean, like, you've been hearing about all these problems about how hard it is to get an iPhone 10, right? Like, demand is going to be through the roof. It's going to be a super cycle. It might even perform as highly as the iPhone 6 did. One of the most successful products, not just iPhone, product from any company of all time. Now, with a starting price of $1,000, you've done something right when you've done that. And I'm glad I don't have to defend the Pixel. I'm so glad I don't have to. Thank you, Apple Juice, for donating. Did you have a comment to go along with that? I don't see one. Sorry. Anyway, we're coming up near the end of the live stream, guys. So last comments, last questions. Now's the time to ask them. How many iPhone 10s are actually out there? I don't know. They said 2 to 3 million will be available on the launch date. So we know that. I'm just honest. I'm bored with the Pixel XL, and I'm not going anywhere near Pixel 2 XL. Ugly. There you go. I mean, it's... Marquez's review glossed over the screen issues because he doesn't experience it, lol, because obviously Google would give out defective units to reviewers. Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say that if the problem didn't happen to you, there's not really a point in talking about it, but I was just saying that the things he listed as to why it was a good phone, I found incredibly unexciting. Just saying that the phone is smart doesn't make me want to buy it. I mean, he kind of bases it all around the fact that the Google Assistant is very smart, and I'm just like, okay, I don't use that. I don't need to know random facts whenever I'm sitting around. I want my phone to help me do what I'm already doing. I think that's kind of the basis of Apple, is making things easier in your life. Whereas around Google, it seems to be more live your life our way. Now start asking random questions throughout the day. Now start blurting out random questions because we can answer them. We can answer every question you have. And every time I've seen someone show that the Google Assistant works, they're always showing something that I don't really care about, like the temperature of the sun or the capital of Italy. Like, I don't sit around wonder those things. I've never seen the Google Assistant answer something that's truly kind of questionable. It's kind of like, oh man, I really don't know that. Like, I can't think of that. Can I think of it? Like, I wanted to be able to answer tough questions, but at the same time, I'm not answering tough questions all the time. I'm living my life. I'm working. Apple Juice donated and said, I watch every Talos of Tech video you upload. I love the channel. Do whatever it is takes for as long as you to make your dream happen. Thank you, Apple Juice. I appreciate that very much. Also, Apple Juice would be a great name for Apple charging accessories. Is the SIM card installed in the iPhone when you buy new from Apple Store? If you get one with a SIM card in it that's part of a certain contract, yes. You can buy an iPhone without a SIM card at an Apple Store. That's an option. How do you feel about the iPhone 10 Plus 2018? I feel happy. What do you mean, how do I feel? It's coming out. It will exist. Congratulations. It's an iPhone that will exist. I have an iPhone SE 64 gig and it's broke. Should I buy another one? iPhone SE gets the job done, and I love the size, but I do want a newer model. What do you recommend? Yeah, treat yourself. Get a storage enhancement. If Apple brought a stylus for an iPhone, I wouldn't use it. I don't think they're going to. I know that there's patents and leaks and rumors saying that there are, but there were a year ago and nothing happened. So I don't expect it'll happen. If it did, I still wouldn't use it. I'd be like, that's dumb. I don't need that. The same boring iOS as all the other iPhones. iOS gets far, far more improvements than Android. Believe me, I've had to try to talk to people about what's the big enhancement with Android 8.0? What's the big reason to switch? And they're like, the settings app looks a little different. Wow. So much to get excited for. And by the way, you can't get Android 8 on most Android phones. So every time there's a software update, you're like, great, I'll get it next year. While everyone else has it now. So, Anna, I don't care about that. iOS is available to tons of people. Like at one day, everyone's updating simultaneously. You should try the Pixel XL. I think it would change your mind. Yeah, I don't want to buy phones that I'm not gonna learn much from. And there's not much to learn about the Pixel. Even if the Pixel has no problems with the display, no hissing sounds, none of the manufacturing problems that Google seems to keep running into, I still don't care. I watched the Pixel event. There's nothing about it that excites me. There's nothing about it that makes me want to switch. Can it film at 4K at 60? No. Does it have a True Tone display? No. Does it have AirDrop? No. Does it have wireless charging? No. Does it come with headphones? No. Does it have a good companion smartwatch as good as an Apple Watch? No. Okay. From that off the board, I'm not interested in it. The Note 8, I would love to try. It's just a little pricey for me, and I have a lot of things I need to be able to save for right now, so I'm not reviewing it. But at the same time, I wouldn't be too eager to... I wouldn't be that excited or eager to review the Note 8 because I know my opinions on it already. I'd be like, this camera's really nice. But it runs Android, so I'm not going to switch. Like, I'm part of an ecosystem that works. And if switching the iPhone to a Note 8 makes my pictures look a little better, but I don't get to use my watch, I don't get to use AirPods as easily, I don't get to use AirDrop, screw it. What's the point? Anyway, thank you guys for all of your donations and all of your comments and questions. I appreciate all of them. And you guys, this is the last live stream before the big day. The 27th. I'll be live on the 27th and a little bit before the 27th as well, 11:30 on the 26th. But you guys know what I'm excited for. And I'm sure all of you are excited for it as well. On October 27th, Stranger Things Season 2 is coming out. I'm going to binge the whole thing. I'm so pumped for it. Oh my God. I know you guys are too. I'm so excited. Can't wait. Anyway, thank you guys for all of your comments and questions. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.